The following is a special presentation of TNN Motorsports. The American Speed Association, they've been doing it right for 30 years. They're the best kept secret in motorsports. If you love great short track stock car racing, the American Speed Association is a series for you. Hey, ASA's been doing it right for 30 years. If you love to see your race car drivers banging fenders and swapping paint and racing door handle to door handle all the way to the checkered flag, this is a race for you today.
There's more to the American Speed Association than bumping and banging. There's family, there's great drivers, there's a talent pool that continues to succeed. Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Dick Trickle have raced and won against Mike Eddy and Bob Seneker. Those drivers, Mike Eddy and Bob Seneker, are still in the field today, but this year's lineup is no different. There's a lot of contenders.
ASA racing happens on the short track. One thing you won't normally see on the short track, live pit stops. They're going to happen here, though, and you better get your tires and your fuel fast or get to the back of the line.
Short track racing, stock car racing at its finest. The 98 season's coming at you. Association set to open up the 1998 racing season for the AC-Delco Challenge Series. And it all begins today with the AC-Delco 300 from Peach State Speedway in Jefferson, Georgia, presented by Jani-King. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen, strapped in alongside as always on TNN's ASA coverage, my co-driving partner Jim Trado. You know, as we get set to open up the 98 season for ASA, there are three different groups of drivers that we need to talk about, to keep an eye on. The first one, Jim, the veterans.
Certainly led by Bob Seneker, the winningest driver in the American Speed Association, 83 career victories, a 10-year streak with at least a victory in the American Speed Association. Then there's Mike Eddy, 7-time champion, over 400 starts in the 30-year history. Mike Miller, 3-time winner a year ago, a serious threat. Scott Hansen, who as many drivers and team owners feel could be the contender for the championship to beat. Gary St. Amant in his 13th season in the ASA series, will it be a lucky one?
Well, those drivers are always tough, and you can never count them out. But there is another group. These are guys that haven't necessarily won a lot of races. Some have won some races, some haven't won yet, but they're always contenders.
Heading that list is Dave Sensible. 4 times has finished second. He should have had at least 5 or 6 wins by now. The 1994 Series Rookie of the Year. 95 Series rookie Rick Beebe finally broke through with a victory last season at Berlin Raceway. He is a serious threat as well to run top 5 weekly. Joe Knott has made a change. He's now running with the championship team of LaFavor Racing. He'll pilot the #1 Tecumseh Pontiac. Look for big things from that team. And Brandon Sperling, the Howes Lubricator truck yard transfer driver, certainly has his eyes set on a victory. He was awfully close a year ago.
Well, now the third group hasn't won anything yet, but they're not necessarily title contenders, but they might be race winners before the year is out. And there's 50 grand up to win if you're a rookie.
The Pat Shaw Memorial Rookie of the Year chase is absolutely up for grabs. Peter Cozzolino and the Crookston Motorsports team has put together a great package. Greg Stewart, the Kenley, North Carolina driver, looking to go ASA full-time in a championship run. Jimmy Johnson has teamed up with crew chief Howie Leto, the 5-time Rookie of the Year crew chief, trying to get his 6th. Adam Petty, what more can be said? The first 4th-generation professional athlete going for rookie in ASA. And Jeff Boltz, 2nd in All-Pro a year ago. Very much experience on these kind of tracks and these kind of races.
Great drivers, great cars, always great action with the ASA. And we've had some really good qualifying as well. Let's introduce you now to the man who is on the pole. He's standing by with the 3rd member of our TNN crew here today. That's Dave Burns.
That'll be Scott Hansen, and he, along with Gary St. Amant, for them, the time is now. They've been waiting for the guys like Seneker and Eddy to get the heck off the front row and let somebody else win for a change. Well, Seneker and Eddy, they're all the way back in row 3. They've still got a chance. But Scott Hansen picks up his 15th pole of his ASA career. He's looking for a win here tonight. And after he finished very well at the end of last season, Scott, it's been
things over the winter with Kenny and had a lot of success. And, yeah, I think we're in good shape. Car was good right off the trailer, and hoping we can keep it that way up front all day.
And obviously good enough to be the fastest qualifier tonight. Well, the guy who's real proud to be here tonight is Jim Cavanaugh. His company, Jani-King, is sponsoring tonight's event. He's the CEO and founder. And I noticed, Jim, you brought your camera along. Is this pretty important for Jani-King?
Yes, it is. We always like to have some pictures to remember these special moments.
That's right, and it will be special now as Jim's going to get us started for tonight's 300-lap event. Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you, Dave. On behalf of the 6,300 Jani-King franchisees worldwide, gentlemen, start your engines.
Well, that ought to shake the remaining bits of snow off of your roof. The 1998 AC-Delco Challenge Series racing season set to get underway. ASA coming at you when we come back on TNN. Welcome back to TNN Motorsports coverage of the ASA season opener, the AC-Delco 300, presented by Jani-King from Jefferson, Georgia. This is Peach State Speedway. This is a racetrack that's kind of bittersweet for Gary St. Amant. He's starting on the front row today. He finished second here last year, but boy, he sure looked like the guy to win this race last year. And he is also one to contend for the championship. Earlier, we had an opportunity to talk to Gary St. Amant, the driver that wins number 7. That is goals for the 98 season.
Every single year there's guys that step up and they're title contenders. You know, this year's the same way, and you know, just after the successful season we had last year, we really feel like we can win the championship this year.
Gary, definitely one of the drivers you have to keep your eyes on as we work our way through the 1998 ASA season. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the grid. How did they qualify for race number 1? Here we go with row number 1, Scott Hansen. He is the pole winner with a 99.4 mile an hour lap. Gary St. Amant lines up alongside of him. Dave Sensabaugh and Mike Garvey, those are 2 names that fit in the contender category.
Row 3 is where we find the veterans. Mike Eddy on the inside, Bob Seneker on the outside. Here's row 4, Mike Miller in the red 18, Joe Knott in the Tecumseh number 1.
2 more rows. Row 5, the 1996 ASA champ Tony Raines back for a visit. He's in car number 2. And Steve Holzhausen in the 5 car. A lot of attention focused on row number 6. 4th generation Petty, Adam Petty in the 45. Yeah, the King's here, and so is Kyle, keeping an eye on Adam. And Jeff Boltz in car 30.
One of the 9 rookies in the field, Kevin Noodleman from La Crosse, Wisconsin, and Harold Fair Jr. He's running for Rookie of the Year all season long for Great Creed Motorsports. Tim Sauter in a team car to Alec Pinsino is in number 9. 23 is Rick Beebe, a yellow Pontiac that will be a threat tonight.
Row number 9, Jimmy Johnson in car 44. A lot of rookie attention being focused on him. Jack Landis in the 07. Brandon Sperling on the inside in car number 51. And Andy Ponstein out of Kalamazoo, Michigan in the 00.
Starting 21st will be Danny Daler, a former Legend Series car driver, and Alec Pinsino out of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. In row 12, on the inside, Tim Taylor, an iCar modified champion, and Gary Terry making a limited schedule in 1998 and hopes for a 1999 rookie run.
In row number 13, with corporate dollars from McDonald's, comes Peter Cozzolino in the 40 car, and Greg Stewart out of Four Oaks, North Carolina in car number 32. Ed Olszewski in car number 55, and Fred Bear Jr. out of Indianapolis, Indiana in car 94.
Billy Turner, who crashed in practice, has a separated right shoulder. He'll start shotgun on the field. He qualified 29th and slowest in this field.
Now, we do have in-car cameras for you here today to give you a great idea of what short track racing with ASA looks like. Gary St. Amant going to give you the view from the front row on his wins onboard camera. Here is Jeff Boltz's look, car number 30. And back here with Danny Doler, starting back in 21st position. And Brandon Sperling, starting back in 19th, will carry one as well in the 51. And we are green and racing and already stacking them into the wall. Peter Cozzolino in the 40 and the 28 car is well involved in this. Tim Taylor out of Indianapolis, Indiana.
Looks like it was one of those racing deals off of turn number 4. The driver's very excited to get going. I talked to Peter Cozzolino during the driver autograph session. He had mentioned, I just want to get through the first 50 laps in one piece. I'm going to back off. I'm going to let those guys sort it out up front. Then I'm going to make my progress. But boy,
time
was that
for a strategy change.
Whew, I guess. New crew chief Ken Lund, the 1984 ASA Rookie of the Year, will have his work cut out for him directing this Crookston Motorsports crew. McDonald signing on, very happy, very excited to go full-time in ASA in 1998.
Peter looking pretty frustrated as he unbuckles out of the number 40. Tim Taylor is able to drive away. Cozzolino, not so fortunate at this point. Tim Taylor finally committed himself full-time to this. He's been bouncing back and forth between some different series as well.
Modified driver out of Indianapolis making his first start of the season as everyone else's, but look at what we see in the back of the field. very right hand of your screen, it looks like Taylor comes to the outside. The action's already started. Cozzolino to the bottom, and Taylor may have spun to avoid. So Cozzolino may have either gotten in the back of someone
See if we
or
can
got
look
tapped
for,
from behind.
Speed shot here, Jim, if we can see a better look at it. Wow, you see the water splashing up. They have barrels full of water protecting the head-on impact into the edge of the pit wall there. Dave Burns has caught up with Peter.
And obviously, as you said, very, very disappointed. Peter, what happened from your point of view?
We were coming down for the green. Everybody just checked right up. I mean, I was on the brakes. There was no way I could stop for that. I mean, I feel real bad for McDonald's and everybody for this team. We worked real hard here and had a good practice, and just didn't happen for us tonight.
Now, you didn't qualify well, but how good do you think the car was set up for the race tonight before it crashed?
We were good all day. We were third quick in the first practice and then 10th quick in the second practice. And the car was way faster than where we qualified. We just missed on the setup there real bad.
Peter Cozzolino and the McDonald's team, they will be back.
Tough way to open up the season. Tim Taylor's got his car fixed. He will take the 28 back out onto the racetrack. We'll get him lined up again, and we'll be set to kick things off from Jefferson, Georgia, right after these words. Stay with us, won't you? Yes. Welcome back to Jefferson, Georgia. The AC-Delco Challenge Series getting off their 1998 season. Now, it is a restart, but not a complete restart. We're told they will start doubled up, but we will begin with lap number 7 as we're underway. Down the back straightaway, and this time everybody gets through. Coming out of turn number 4 at speed, Scott Hansen will lead the first lap of 1998 under green. That doesn't take long now. Here comes Gary St. Amant up on the outside. That's Mike Garvey's number 8 trying to move into third, but Dave Sensiba on the bottom in the white number 6, banging with him, and Sensiba gets into it with Garvey again, and here comes Mike Eddy, the black 88. That's your top 3 right there. There's Garvey's number 8.
Some speculation whether Mike Garvey would run the entire 1998 season for Jared Gunford and the All-Star Racing Group, if they indeed
The wins on board camera, looking from back behind Gary St. Amant, looking right at Scott Hansen, chasing you down the backstretch. Listen to him work the throttle. There they come, racing up across the front straightaway.
St. Amant and Hansen both chased qualifying points all season long in 1997. As a matter of fact, Gary won the overall crown and got a huge bonus from AC-Delco Rapid Fire spark plugs. Starting out this season, those drivers know how important that extra cash is. They qualified front row. Gary perhaps allowed Scott Hansen to lead the first lap, but now it's been the Wins Chevrolet driver up front, and then we're on lap 16.
Brandon Sperling, the House lubricator car. As we go on board with Brandon Sperling. Running a little bit deeper in the field. This is a car that was really struggling. He competes in 17th right now. He put a new body on this car, Jim. He was really struggling to get the handle on this car all weekend long. He's got Harold Fair on the outside of him in the red number 80 and Tim Sauter in the 9 just in front of him in the blue and white car.
You may think it's a high-banked half-mile racetrack, but what do aerodynamics play? It plays a huge factor. Brandon Sperling, comfortable with the Chevy Monte Carlo body, has switched to the Pontiac Grand Prix body. You notice the roof is a lot different, but where the main difference is where the air hits the front end, where it separates around the car and goes over the car. It's a huge difference, Chevy to Pontiac.
And that makes a big difference in how the car turns through the corners, whether or not you can get the car in or out of the turn. Fight for 5th place between those two right there. The Bluebird, Bob Seneker, one of the most legendary names in all of stock car racing, on the inside in that blue number 84. He's getting to the inside of Dave Sensiba on the outside in the white and blue number 6. And here comes the Lumar number 18 of Mike Miller, that red and white 18. Lives just a stone's throw from this racetrack. Joe Knott coming up from behind the Tecumseh number 1.
Typical situation early on. The second group really had not been worked into this point. Dave Sensiba was working on Mike Eddy to get around him. Eddy got underneath, as a matter of fact. Gained position on Sensiba in that white, purple, and black number 6. He got shuffled back because he could not get back in line.
Oh, we got Harold Fair Jr. spinning on the front straightaway. Car number 80 goes around. So it looks looks like no damage to his car. He was able to keep it off the walls. He turns around right in front of our leader, Gary St. Amant. He will at least stay on the lead lap.
Harold Fair Jr. 188. Yo Jamie on the rear quarter panels of Harold's car, and that is for Jamie Cartwright, a 12-year-old that really helps out Harold Fair Sr. in the shop when he can. Doing some cancer treatment. His church has set up a fund, dial 888-1888 Yo Jamie, and the foundation is set up at his church to help him with some cancer treatment costs. He's undergoing that, and he's certainly a big part of the team.
The Jani-King bag number 30 of Jeff Fultz, who's contending for the Pat Shower Rookie of the Year award, is down on pit road.
We saw him tap a car ahead of him. They were pounding on the nose of his Chevrolet to make sure that thing was nice and solid. Woody Wood, the crew chief, back in ASA, and worked with Tim Steele, now working with Jeff Fultz.
As they go to work on that Jani-King car, there's a look at your top five. St. Amant, Hansen, Garvey, Eddy, and Seneca. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Jefferson, Georgia. T&M Motorsports will be your leader in coverage of the AC-Delco Challenge Series once again in 1998. We are under yellow here tonight at this point at Peach State Speedway. Let's show you why.
Off of turn number 4, looking at the speed shot under the flag stand. We're looking for the red number 80 of Harold Fair Jr. He gets sideways off of turn number 4. Jimmy Johnson got into him in the white number 44. Both cars made pit stops. Harold Fair has to go to the rear of the field. Jimmy Johnson white wall the right sides. That may cause further damage.
We're back to green. Mike Miller diving to the bottom right there in that red number 18. Inside of Bob Seneca, we go 4 abreast in this part. Look at this. That's a fight for 5th. And Joe not looking pretty racy in the Tecumseh number 1. Let's check in with Dave Burns in the pits with a story on the Jani-King of number 30 of Jeff Fultz.
Well, I just spoke with Phil Harper, who is the motor builder for Jeff Fultz. He said it's definitely electrical. They've tried to work on the coil. They've jiggled the wires. They've gone to the distributor. They cannot find why they can't get any spark to the motor. And Jeff Fultz is number 30. Meanwhile, up pit road, the 44 car of Jimmy Johnson did come in and change 2 right side tires because of that brush with the wall.
There's Tony Raines in the number 2, that green number 2. He's got Steve Holzhausen just behind him, and then Adam Petty behind Holzhausen.
Adam Petty started 11th in this free prepaid phone cards. Pontiac, he currently runs 11th.
The 00 car belonging to Andy Ponstein, and there is Adam right there. He's going to be a hard one to miss on the racetrack with all the colors on that car.
And he is certainly the focus of attention off the racetrack. His father, Kyle Petty, and grandfather, Richard Petty, are here tonight watching their son and grandson.
Look at this fight for third. The 7-time champion, Mike Eddy, making the pass in that good wrench Pontiac, number 88, the black car. Mike Garvey from Suwanee, Georgia, in car number 8, doing battle with Atlanta, Georgia's Mike Miller. Mike in the Lumar number 18 gets right up behind Mike Garvey.
Garvey's team is based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Mike Garvey, the driver.
Oh! Gets into the back of him, turned him, and then saved him. Let off and let him catch it.
This is short track racing, looking at Mike Garvey. Maintains control of this car. He is one of the better loose race car drivers I've ever seen. He can work that car through the corners sideways. Off the turn, that could have been a very dangerous situation if you would have not allowed him to back up, not allow him to gain back position. Mike Miller could have went on by or got caught up in the accident.
Oh, he gets into him a little bit again. Look at that. This time Mike powers by the inside, takes the spot away from Garvey. That is for 4th place now.
Lumar Window Films Pontiac of Mike Miller on a charge. He worked to the inside of Mike Garvey, as did Mike Eddy a few laps ago. They now have broken away from the field. The top 4 at this point have a slight advantage over this great pack of cars.
Joe Knott, the Tecumseh number 1 back entry, the black car, right behind Garvey's number 8. This is the car that won the championship this year with Kevin Sawinski behind the wheel. Sawinski has moved over to try to kick off the Busch Grand National career. And there's a lot of question as to, will Joe be able to fill those shoes? This is everything Joe Knott has ever asked for. He's got a championship-winning team, a great sponsor. Joe Knott knows he's got to step up to the plate and start winning races with that car.
You could say it's time to put up or shut up. Joe Knott has made 3 moves in ASA, all to improve his career. He has 1 lone victory in 1996, but he has these drivers to follow and learn from. He's trying to get to the point to race with these drivers. Mike Eddy in the black 88 in third. Another veteran, the Lumar Window Films Pontiac, Mike Miller running forward.
What a great battle this will be. Eddy running about half a lane higher than Miller.
2 seasoned veterans. No better homework can be done than following these drivers around this half mile.
Oh, Miller is really aggressive tonight. He gets right into the back of the guy they call the polar bear. Mike Eddy is not somebody you want to pound on too much. You get him angry, he is not afraid to pound right back.
Mike Miller has won 3 races in 1997, 7 for his ASA career. He's done it in this exact fashion. He's a one-of-a-kind kind of driver, has his own chassis setup, works with his own team in Atlanta, Georgia, well removed from the hubs of Milwaukee and Grand Rapids for this ASA series where a number of teams are based. He has his work cut out for him in Georgia. This is his home track. He comes here to shake the car down. So obviously he has more laps in an ASA car here than anyone else.
And Mike Miller really felt like he should have won this race last year and had a disappointing run here. I think he really feels today that he has got to make up for that. Oh, and look at this. Sensiba gets into Knott. They go to banging on each other. 2 of those young contenders getting at it as they battle it out for 8th place. But this is why you got to love short track stock car racing. Something going on every lap. Sensiba gathers it back up under the guidance of crew chief Chip Caputo, who's back into ASA racing.
That's an interesting combination. Leroy Troop as a car owner has Dave Sensiba now as his driver. In 1990, he had Bob Seneca as his driver. They won the championship with Chip Caputo as the crew chief, Bob Seneca as his driver. Caputo, however, admits he's not been familiar with the current ASA cars new to this series in 1992.
Here's the next battle we'll watch. This is for 5th. Mike Garvey holds that position right now in that white number 8. Bob Seneca, the blue 84, and the green number 2 of Tony Raines.
One thing about Tony Raines these drivers didn't want to see, number 1, is Tony Raines pull in the parking lot. He won the 1996 championship, but last year ran a limited schedule. He ran 3 races, finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in those 3 events.
Seneca starting to work the backside of Garvey. Bob will probably be a little bit more patient than we'll say Mike Miller was. And Gary St. Amand held up in traffic.
Greg Stewart to the high side, Billy Turner, and a backup car after the crash in practice went to a backup car of Travis Price. Made a deal. Jimmy Price, the crew chief on Billy Turner's car, had a car prepared for his son, the white 58. His son competes weekly here in the late models.
Mike Miller comes charging through in 2nd. Back past that lap traffic, there's Turner, and then Hansen's already gotten past Turner. He's just in front of him. Now St. Amand goes to work on Harold Fair Jr. Harold Fair Sr. is here. He made the number 1 legendary in ASA racing. Says he's ready to go racing. He's crew chiefing for his son, but has an ASA car ready to go. They can find a little sponsorship money.
He said they will do 5 to 7 races, and I said, how are you doing this weekend, Harold? First time out of an ASA car in quite a few years, and he said, I'm not doing good, Jim.
No.
This is not good for me not to be in the car, especially here at Nashville where we go next weekend.
Mike Garvey, Joe Knott, Dave Sensiba, Steve Holzhausen, all battling it out. Oh, and look at the fight going on there. More paint swapping going on as Joe Knott gets sideways.
It's not over yet. Mike Garvey qualified 4th and charged up to the 3rd position. Now he sees fighting a loose race car. He's drifting up the racetrack, and these drivers smell that. They want to get up there and get in there. Garvey now back to 7th, Joe Knott 8th.
Look at this fight for the lead. All kinds of great action. We're just getting to the 50 laps in point. Great racing in the season opener with the American Speed Association here today. Mike Miller will take over the lead as we go on board with the Wins onboard camera from Gary St. Amand's perspective in 2nd. Listen to him work that throttle a little. The fans here at Peace 8 Speedway enjoying the season 88. We're back watching Mike Garvey in the white and blue number 8 do battle with Tim Sauter's blue, white, and red number 9. That is a fight for 9. Sauter just taking that position away from Garvey. That's Rick Beebe in the yellow 23, the Myers-backed entry. He runs at 11. Brandon Sperling behind him, and we stack him up. Jeff Boltz, the Jani-King number 30 in it.
Andy
the double
Ponstein.
series of Ponstein is in the middle of that as well. And the third car we can't see yet, Jim, because he's facing the wrong way.
Could be Gary Terry, Michigan driver, trying to make his way through. Now we hear
The mission box went out again.
that's the comments of driver Jeff Boltz in car.
You get a wrecker or something, I wonder if we can push you.
We're still with his crew chief, Woody Wood.
Gonna get that Jani-King 30 back underway. Dr. Yale Conley, who you might remember if you're a regular viewer of
Get
ASA
in front of
Racing.
you, Jeff. Go in the back.
He's the owner of this car. There goes
Go
Ponstein.
pushy, buddy.
25. Let's take a look at this again. Here's what happened in front of him. Oh, he got hit from behind.
It didn't happen in front of him, it happened right behind him.
Ouch.
Get her going, buddy. Go. Can't the car.
With his intermittent,
Going in the pit. Quit on me.
with Jeff Bolt's intermittent problems with the ignition, the car may have cut out at him. It could have cut out at any time.
Pit first. Hey guys, we got a wrecker on the way around. He's probably coming to get you out of the way. I don't know. We'll know in a second.
And it looks like Gary Terry is the other car involved in car number 25.
Where's me here?
Well, we'll get your cars in dive down pit road. One of those being Scott Hansen, who is running in third, Dave Burns.
Scott Hansen is going to get beat out of the pit by Rick Beebe, Joe Knott, and Mike Garvey, but his crew changed right side tires to try to make that car quicker. He was up in the hunt, but couldn't put the 52 up front yet, guys, so they definitely had to come in.
Jim, all these drivers that took this opportunity are those that obviously, I would assume, didn't guess right on their setups.
That or the track has been, I've been told by a number of drivers, it's very abrasive. So about 62 laps, which is what is on the scoreboard, has been run. 52 laps now in, and these guys are certainly considering making that change. Hansen may have felt the handling going away to the point where he wanted to make the pit stop.
Now, this was after we had gone under yellow. Ponstein still having problems. And here's the original incident, Ponstein into the back of Foltz.
I'm saying as low as Foltz was running, and when he turned left, he was out of power. That car was not running. He was trying to get the pit lane. The car cut out, and he got hit in the back by cars coming up on him quicker. Ponstein involved in Gary Terry in that caution. There's Terry's left rear coming into view there. Andy Ponstein bought this car off of ARCA driver Bill Baird. They'll run 6 or 7 events this season, protect their rookie status.
Joe Knott gets a stop-and-go penalty for speeding in the pits. It is owned by Winston Cup star Kenny Schrader back down pit road. Dave, what's the story down there? They getting this thing squared up?
Well, Ralph, remember how good Mike Miller's car was here last year, and he ended up breaking an axle right here at Peach State Speedway, which put him out of the race when he could have won. Same thing for Scott Hansen. They're going to the right side. They're going to put in that axle on that side, try to get it back out here, not lose laps, but it's going to have to be a quick change.
Scott Hansen, who lapped the half mile here at Peach State at 18.101 seconds at 99.4 miles an hour to win the pole up on jack stands now on pit road as we go back to green. Tough way for Hansen, who is definitely one of the seasoned veterans who is listed as a contender for the championship this year to kick off his year. Mike Miller continues to lead over Gary St. Amant, Tony Raines, Mike Eddy, and Bob Seneca, your top 5. There's Mike Eddy, that black 88. He sits in 4th, right behind Tony Raines, the 1996 ASA champion.
Mike Eddy comes into this race with a 32-race winless streak. 7-time champion, went without a victory only one other year when he ran full-time with ASA, 1987. So it's been a 10-year span. Now it's a 32-race drought, and you certainly don't want to see some racing with Mike Eddy up front. If everything goes according to plan, he will be up front throughout the entire season. Here working underneath Raines' Team Articat Ford off of turn 4.
Tony Raines, of course, battles it out now on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Tour full-time. Still likes to come back and play with the ASA Series when he can. Some guys like to play golf. Tony Raines likes to go racing.
He's not alone there.
And ASA is one of the toughest courses on the tour. Tim Sauter in the 9 car. This is a driver, Jim, in that blue and white with the red numerals, number 9. It's another driver, that kind of a black sheep that everybody's got to keep their eyes on a little bit.
He finished second in the rookie program a year ago. He and his partner, Ed O'Hilsky, made a split. Towards the end of the year, he latched.
Oh, look at this. Big problems for Dave Sensiba. Fire in the number 6 selective car. You can see the flames inside the cockpit of the car. Sensiba will scramble now to get out of the car. Unbuckling the belts. Out of the window comes Dave Sensiba. Wow.
The hood on his race car was knocked up. He got in the backside of another car. The carburetor is mounted right below the air cleaner. The air cleaner is physically, when the hood goes down, it lays on top of the air cleaner. I'm wondering if something popped or a fuel line got kinked or bent when that hood popped up from the jolt.
There's still flames under that hood.
That's being driven by fuel, I believe.
Dave is safely out of the car, but you can see from our camera down in turn number 1, as they looked into the car, Dave Burns, there was flames inside the cockpit. How is he doing?
Well, Dave seems to be breathing all right. Did you inhale a bunch of that stuff?
Yeah, we did. Flames come right up into our face. Not sure what happened. Had a really good car. Sorry, PGT and Selective is backing us this year. And like I say, we had a car to win the race today. We were real comfortable out there just waiting for our turn.
Dave, we saw the hood crimped up and maybe something else got bent or broken in there. Did that have anything to do with, you think, contact with other cars?
No, we got... Mike Garvey got crossed up a little bit. Joe Knott checked up. We got in the back of Joe, but it didn't hurt any of the handling on the car, so I'm not sure what did happen.
All right, Dave Sensiba happy to be walking away after that fiery stop.
Dave Sensiba's season opener is done. Scott Hansen having problems with the rear end of his car. Who's going to come out the winner here at Peach State Speedway? This tough racetrack in Jefferson, Georgia, taking its shots at the ASA drivers already. You know, if you can't get enough ASA racing like Jim Trado, you too can have a complete collection of exciting ASA race tapes. Hey, they're just $29.95 plus $4 for shipping and handling. Call 888-826-0366 and tell them you want to be like Jim Trado. You want to start your collection. You can do it by placing your order today. Jani-King car of Jeff Foltz still on pit road as they go to work on it. It's actually behind the wall now.
24 laps down is a Jani-King car.
We go back to green with Mike Miller leading Gary St. Amant, Mike Eddy, Tony Raines, and Tim Sauter, your top 5. And I like how Sauter's running in the early stages here, Jim.
He started 15th. Tim Sauter's on a charge. Build-A-Mold Chevrolet, Port City, powered by K-Tech, running with Alec Pincino is Tim Sauter, currently 5th in that blue and white number 9.
Mike Miller, they had that car up on jack stands quite a bit earlier today. A lot of work going on underneath that car.
He had a driveline problem in qualifying. He popped the motor out, took a look through the entire driveline, made some tweaks, changed a couple of things, and put it back in working order. Obviously, it's working beautiful for that team.
Gary St. Amant with the Polar Bear. Mike Eddy right on his tail. Let's check in with Dave Burns.
Guys, I was just going to tell you one more thing about Mike Miller and his day today. They also went after a clutch problem on the 18 car. They had burnt the throwout bearing and they had to replace it. That was what he was underneath there for. We thought it might have been a motor problem. Thankfully, it wasn't.
He told me it was an anomaly in the driveline.
Yeah,
I said,
that one too.
I can't say anomaly. It's too big of a word for me. How do you spell it? He just kind of laughed at me.
It's not too big of a word for Mike Miller.
No,
He's
it is.
borderline genius.
Computer-aided design. CAD is how he made the chassis work for this number 18 team. 2 cars in this stable.
You know, there's a lot of things I like to see in my rearview mirror. Mike Eddy chasing me down is not one of them. The Polar Bear, he is hungry. This is one bear who did not get enough to eat over the winter. He is so hungry for a victory, Jim, it is ridiculous.
I'm thinking he spent a number of nights with his eyes wide open. Didn't get much sleep in that hibernation either. He is possessed this year. I didn't talk to him a lot this weekend because he wasn't going to say much. You know, when he sits in that race car, his eyeballs are focused. just has that look. He has had that look since he got here.
I said, Mike, did you do any testing over the winter? Nah, I can tear up enough stuff racing. What do I need to go testing for? That's just the attitude of Mike Eddy, the 7-time champ. Joe Knott, he's in that black number 1, getting right up behind the backside of Alex Pinsonneau's number 93.
Danny Dollar's in the 31, and the Woody's Performance Products.
We're on board with our Woody's onboard camera right now, watching Danny Dollar battle it out for 13th position.
Dollar stuck on the outside. He ran 10 years of competitive jet ski racing before making the transition to stock cars.
Oh, and he's into the wall. You can see Joe Knott took him right up along the wall, and he white-walled the right side of the 31. And he just found out that walls are a little bit harder than water.
Driving her. Keep driving it.
Woody's Performance Accessories and Speed Block helping out this team. He bought the car from Gary St. Amant's team.
That was the crew talking to him, trying to keep him
Spin in two.
focused as we got a spin over in turn number 2. Just behind the banners there is the number 44 of Jimmy Johnson and the number 93 of Alec Pinsonneau. So the young rookie, number 44, Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson.
That's what his uniform says.
What
he
is
got
that all about?
shipped back from Cincy. He said, guys, don't say anything, but he pointed to where his name was stitched on the jacket on his uniform. It said Jammie.
Jimmy.
I said, Jimmy Johnson. And he said, no, don't say that, guys. I'm Jimmy Johnson, please. We said, we saw it, man. We got to say it. We got to say it.
How did you say that?
Jimmy Johnson. He's now checking the wheels up. You know what? He's got a bright future ahead of him, even if he's jamming on the gas pedal and the brakes there off of turn 2.
Here it is. Here's a replay.
Alec Pinsonneau's just ahead.
Oh, right. And he did it all himself.
That was about 2 laps before that spin, so.
There's the spin. Johnson and Pinsonneau behind him, both spinning out.
Like a double spin there. Johnson was on the outside of turn number 2. Pinsonneau locked it down. Spun it that as well.
Mike Eddy, Tim Sauter, Adam Petty, Jimmy Johnson, Dollar, all down pit road. Dave, what do they do?
They all changed right side tires, Ralph. Jimmy Johnson and Mike Eddy both going to the right side as well. Tim Sauter. Leader Mike Miller, I talked to his crew chief, Rich Thompson, said they're not going to come in until they need to. Right now, the car is perfect. It's neutral. They expect they may have to tighten them up a little later in the race, but for now, Mike likes it out front.
Dave, are they taking fuel as well or just tires?
They are fueling the cars, Ralph. As you know, that can help with the handling of the car if they keep the some of the weight back there in the fuel tank. So everyone has been fueling as well.
All right, thanks, Dave. That's an important point because a lot of the teams are saying they can go well over halfway here this 300 lapper before they needed fuel. The AC-Delco Challenge Series 1998 season off and racing on TNN. We're about set to go back to green here at Peach State Speedway. TNN Motorsports, the leader, and Miller with a good jump that time, Jim.
Through the gearbox, off of turn number 4.
Mike Miller, Gary St. Amant, Tony Raines, Bob Seneker. Your top 4, Jack Landis in the 07. The Adirondack Speedway Maisto 07 is in 5th. Now there is Hansen's 52. He is in 25th, 7 laps down, the man that started on the pole tonight. Joe Knott with a little smoke out of the back of that one car. Did you see that? He runs at 9. I saw some smoke there. Look at that shot. Brandon Sperling, hello from Joe Knott as he slams him in the backside. A couple of the young guns going at it.
One thing we need to keep an eye on is Joe Knott's patience or lack thereof. He was speeding down pit lane earlier. He's with Mike Chaffee. They've done a lot of testing, but you can see he's getting aggressive at this racetrack. Tires being as aggressively worn as they are. He came in on lap 62 to change those right side tires. He's now working his way towards the front of the seat. Brandon Sperling losing his spot on the racetrack. Sperling, I believe, has yet to pit.
Well, how about Sperling in that house lubricator as we go on board with him? Truck airbag entry. He started 19th, Jim, and he is now up to 9th. Pretty good run for the young guy.
Checking through my notes, Sperling did pit on lap 62 along with about 10 other drivers, so he has the fresh right side tires. Hansen was in the pits with that axle problem, so he may have a faster car, but Sperling's not worried about him at this moment.
There's Rick Beebe in that yellow with red numerals, number 23. He is one of the guys, the dark horses, that I think is going to be a contender for the championship this year.
he has a very good chance of winning races. His home track is I-70 Speedway, but a track like this, 18-degree banking, similar in a lot of ways to the track in Missouri where he calls home. He does well at these kind of racetracks. He likes this high bank atmosphere. Danny Hodges and the team securing Myers and Tony's Pizza, along with Banquet Foods as sponsorship, certainly propelled this team in their confidence. Not to mention the crew chief and the driver getting along extremely well. Terry Garrison and Rick Beebe have a lot of great communication, a lot of experience behind them coming into this season.
Puts that Myers, Tony's Pizza entry right up in the 5th. Look at Joe Knott. Did you see him get loose up there in turn 4?
He is not afraid to stick that nose in the Tecumseh Pontiac in anything. He's on the outside. He'll battle you. He's on the inside. He'll
Mike
battle you.
Miller is slowing down the back straightaway. The race leader in the Lumar number 18, Mike Miller from right here in Atlanta, Georgia, off pace coming down pit road. Oh, what a tough break. 2 years in a row at his home racetrack.
Certainly is a hard luck driver. He could have won at least a handful of races, including here at Peach State Speedway a year ago. Had some mechanical problems, lost the axle a year ago.
They're going for tires on the right side. Nobody seems to be panicking over anything. Well, that's strange. I wonder if he cut a tire down.
Well, they say the leader is the first one that gets through the caution. With the incidents we've had, they've been single or two-car spins. Not a lot of debris on the racetrack that we're aware of, but he, again, checked out at the start of this race. He may have run over something.
Oh, and now they're having trouble getting the car started. A painfully slow pit stop. Mike Miller is dropping like a rock through the rundown. 2 laps down now.
See Jeff Fulton returning to action.
What a tough break for Mike Miller. 2 laps down we get from our scoring buddy Torch up here. We saw Kevin Sawinski go 2 laps down. Oh, and problems coming off of turn number 4. That's Tim Taylor involved once again, and Adam Petty had to dive low. This is going to bring out the yellow. That even kills Mike Miller.
Indeed it does. Tim Taylor's 360 off of turn number 4 will bring out the 4th caution flag. Miller finally got the car going, but had no momentum built up when the caution came out. He'll have to join the field at the tail, maybe even lose another lap.
And if he could have hung on for another lap or 2, Jim, he would have had this yellow. Then he could have made that pit stop. Oh, tough break for Mike Miller. Well, the Jani-King entry of Jeff Fulton back into the race. We're going to step away, get things straightened out. We'll be right back to Peach State Speedway. Under our 8th caution of the day here at Peach State Speedway in Jefferson, Georgia. We're just north of Atlanta as we go back to green. Oh, and we stack them up behind him. Adam Petty had problems and then gets into the back of Mike Garvey. So we're going to go right back under yellow. Well, I had asked both Richard Petty and Kyle Petty before the start of this, I said, what are your last words going to be to Adam before this race gets underway? And they both said, hey, we got 300 laps. Try to complete as many as you can and bring it back in one piece. Well,
Adam told me he was hoping to keep the fenders on. We saw Mike Eddy's streak out of screen. He has a front end that's banged up, so it looks like he got in the back of someone.
Oh, and Cozzolino looked like he turned into him. He did. Look at the front of Mike Eddy's car.
There's red paint on that car, and we know why Mike Eddy drove into Peter Cozzolino on his way to pit lane.
Hey, Tom. King doesn't get to do much nighttime racing.
One to green.
I don't think he'd do that with Kyle. I think if Kyle had problems, the King wouldn't go over there pulling sheet metal off that car. He's down there pulling fiberglass away for his grandson, though.
The King did give Kyle Petty his first race car they won an ARCA race with in 1979, so he did more than just
pretty good
work
to his
on the
son,
car.
I guess, yeah.
I guess.
Beebe and Holzhausen battling it out for the lead. Rick Beebe in the yellow 23. Steve Holzhausen on the bottom of the black number 5, and Brandon Sperling. He started 19th, runs in 3rd in the black 51. What a great night for him. On board with that young man. The 51 car, the native of Southern California, now calls Mooresville, North Carolina home.
All 3 of these drivers came down pit lane 60 laps ago, made their changes on the right side tires. Drivers have told me there's a lot of wear on the left rear tires, so we'll see if that balances out.
Did Brandon Sperling pit? I missed that one. All right, what was that? Same time, lap 62. All right. pit. Well, one way or the other, Sperling's having a great night.
He's got used tires on. Watch out, because if he can make this on 1 or 2 stops, he's a serious threat to win this thing going away.
He's got problems over in turn 1. Oh, and a hard hit.
Danny Doler got hit square in the door.
Billy Turner involved as well. That was Terry, and that number 25, Gary Terry, who drove right into the door of Danny Doler.
It's amazing that Danny Doler's car is still
destroyed? Everything?
Crew talking to Danny Doler.
I can't go from here.
And he's moving around, Jim. He took quite a shot in the side of that number 31. That's a testament to the strength of the ASA car that Rex Robbins, the president of the American Speed Association, and his staff have designed. And because Danny Doler was driving an ASA car, he was able to survive that shot here tonight. Here's your top 10. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Jefferson, Georgia. East State Speedway restarting the racing action here with the AC-Delco 300 presented by Jani-King. That's the way they named it tonight. The leader is Brandon Sperling in the 51. Joe Knott listed in second. There's your 2 leaders right there. Sperling in the 51, Knott in the other black car, number 1. Gary St. Amant runs right behind him. He is in third in the wins, number 7. You can see Sperling pretty loose there, Jim.
And Joe Knott has used his front bumper tonight. We got an up-close look at that earlier. The Tecumseh Pontiac driver going to the inside.
Oh, boy, is he using it. Look at that. Banging his way past Sperling. St. Amant will complete the pass for second a lot cleaner. Tony Raines now coming up behind him in the green number 2, the Arctic Cat car. Mike Eddy dives down pit road of the Goodwrench number 88. You see him as we go by with the leaders. Now, Mike having more problems with that black number 88.
Howard
Thomas. Yep, I'm sorry, Jim. Going to work on the right side tires. Here's your battle for the lead now. Joe Knott, the black number 1. You know, we said it earlier, as Raines gets around Sperling and Eddy comes back out, Mike Chaffee, the crew chief for the number 1 car, is not here to run in 5th. He doesn't like anything in the top 5 except to win. I think Joe Knott feels a lot of that pressure.
The phrase that second place is the first loser is what Mike Chaffee lives by. He prepares this car. His team works in perfection, towards perfection. Car's a little bit off right now. Gary St. Amant will take back the lead.
Gary St. Amant, another driver with a lot to prove here, Jim. Last year he had this race all locked up, and a late race miscue on his own part. He took the blame, cost him the win. Look at this now. Rick Beebe down on power and pulling down on pit road. The Myers, Tony's Pizza, number 23. Looks like he's got serious problems here.
He led earlier. Now back to 15th. Now in the pit lane. They're going under the hood on the Myers Pontiac.
Gary St. Amant started on the front row tonight.
He started on the pole here a year ago, led 224 of 300 laps at this racetrack. He did not test here. He said, I did better last year at the tracks I didn't test at. The setup on the wins, Gainey Transportation Services Chevrolet, is a lot like it was a year ago. It didn't change a whole lot. The weather yesterday was a bit cooler than it was this afternoon, but St. Amant at the top of the charts in practice times. Certainly working on course similar to a year ago, leading a lot of laps in his Chevrolet.
Joe Knott found his way to victory lane in 1996 with the American Speed Association. He has brought the number 45 Spreeback's entry back into the race. Hey, you need a jack man for your local late model? How about this guy? The King going to work on his grandson's car. And Papa Kyle pulling the jack stands out. It's a family affair racing with ASA. I think the King likes this stuff. Hey, go get the other side, King. Welcome back to the AC-Delco 300 presented by Jani-King for East State Speedway. Battle for second, Tony Raines on the outside in the green number 2. Inside, Joe Knott, the black number 1 of Tecumseh backed entry. And Raines gets him on the outside. Tough place to pass here, Jim, on the outside.
Raines has wrestled this green number 2 Ford on the outside and making 3 passes to get him to second spot.
Up to the lead we go now. Here is Gary St. Amant as we approach the halfway point of this one. Actually just passed not the leader at the halfway point. Here's a recap of the AC-Delco 300.
7 lead changes. Gary St. Amant's now at the point for the second time today. There have been 10 cautions. Little rough start, but things got underway. 11 cars remain on lead lap, but St. Amant wants to lap each and every car in this green flag segment if he can, because that'll set it up for the finish. He led a lot of laps last year, made a late race call to change tires, cost him the win. His car owner, Bud Gibbons, said, you know what, the season opener a year ago really set us back. We need to start this season strong.
As Gary St. Amant continues to lead, Rick Beebe behind the wall, and Dave Burns is there. Dave?
Yeah, we caught up with Rick, and Rick, I understand the problem was really plaguing you for a long time with the motor.
Yeah, we really had a mess in the Meyer banquet boots. Pontiac had it working real good in the corners, but about the last 40, 50 laps, just barely hitting on 6. It was 5 cylinders good part of the time. Wasn't hurting us too bad at the time, but I think we finally dropped a valve, put us out.
Now, guys, Rick has a new job this year. He is the new rookie instructor for ASA, and despite the carnage out here tonight, he says most of the rookies are doing a pretty good job.
Struggling tonight is Mike Garvey, car number 8. Garvey, who we expected to be a real contender, the Sewanee, Georgia native. Looks like that right front tire, bit of a problem there. But joining us in the booth is Mike Garvey. Makes his way down pit road to go to work on that right front. The president and CEO of Jani-King. Folks are involved with Jeff Holtz's operation. Mr. Jim Cavanaugh here with us. Welcome to the American Speed Association.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, we know you came all the way up from Dallas to enjoy the race tonight. What do you think of the series?
Oh, I love it. It's the first race of the year, so I'm looking forward to a great season.
Jani-King has been involved in racing before. Why did you choose ASA?
Our driver really suggested it. Driver felt it was a good series, and we have a lot of confidence, a lot of faith in Jeff Holtz, so we followed him over here, and it seems like it's a little slow start for us in this race possibly, but you know, we've got the rest of the year, and I think it'll be fun.
Now, Jeff Holtz is only 29 years of age, but crew chief Woody Wood said Jeff actually sets this car up. It's got to be important to you to have a driver that knows how to work on his race cars. You know what he's done on the racetrack. He performs very well.
Oh, yes. Great driver. We have a lot of confidence in him.
Guys, excuse me for 1 second. Harold Fair Jr. brings the number 80 to the back entrance to the garage area. So problems developing for Harold Fair. He's been on and off all night too, Jim.
Lost a lap early in that Chevrolet Hill campaign year long, but Greg Creed Motorsports, his dad Harold Fair Sr. helping out tonight on pit lane. Will return to some ASA action this season.
There is Jeff Holtz's Jani-King number 30, owned by Doc Gail Conley, currently listed in 28th position. Having a bit of a rough night, but he's got a great operation there with Dr. Yale Conley, who spent a lot of time running an ASA before. Oh, and we got a spin on the back straightaway. Is that Bob Seneker?
Indeed.
It is the Bluebird, Bob Seneker, car number 84. Wow. Hard to imagine Seneker made a solo mistake. That's not very common.
We've talked about the rookies having problems off of turn number 2, but he's starting his 24th straight ASA season opener, so you know he's been around forever. Winningest driver in this series, the veteran driver when it comes to winning races, and it's very unlike Bob Seneker to get a little bit more than sideways. He wasn't alone here, it looked like.
You don't think? I'm not so sure, Jim. I think he was all by himself.
Peter Cozzolino and that.
Yeah, but I don't think Cozzolino was near him. I think Cozzolino was in front of him.
All 4 corners look okay. A little bit of rubbing on the right front fender. That could have happened a lot earlier.
I wonder if Cozzolino, remember Cozzolino's got all that damage to the car. He's running off pace. I bet you he's in front. Maybe Seneca closed up on him too fast and had to jump on the brakes.
Car just in front above that white banner is Peter Cozzolino.
See, Cozzolino's in front of him, Jim. I think maybe Seneca came up on him too quick, either got off the gas or got on the brakes and it flipped the car on him.
Lucky to get back in the guardrail. The car looks like it's in one piece.
So Bob will take advantage of it, dive down pit road.
As will Brandon Sperling, Steve Holtzhausen, Jimmy Johnson, Alec Pinsino.
You know, not everybody's going to know what Jani-King is. What is it?
We're the Jani-King's the world's largest commercial cleaning franchisor. We have over 6,300 franchisees throughout the world. Those franchisees service over 30,000 customers, and we employ close to 40,000 people through those franchisees servicing those customers. So we're a fairly large service organization run through our franchisees worldwide.
Well, that's great. We welcome you to the American Speed Association. We hope you have better luck. Hope Bob Seneker has some better luck getting out of pit road. Let's check in with Dave Burns.
It was a real mess down here, Ralph. The 5-car of Steve Holshausen pitted right in front of Bob Seneker. He had to pit sort of outside of his pit area, and right behind him, Jimmy Johnson was backed up as well. They waited for each other to get done. Holshausen changed tires, headed back out. Seneker stayed in the pits. They had trouble with the right front tire on Bob's car, and Jimmy Johnson had to wait until 3 or 4 other cars had gone by already.
Bob Seneker has 2 crew members that were with him in 1997. He said his pit stops may be real slow. Brand new guys, green behind the ears, helping out his efforts.
Hopefully our brakes will be quick. We're going to take a quick one right now. Stay with us. TNN going to continue more coverage of the American Speed Association from Peach State Speedway right after these words. Back underway here at Jefferson, Georgia, actually getting set to go back to green. We are under yellow still. Gary St. Amand is the leader. Jack Landis runs in second. Tony Raines is in third. Mike Miller in that 18 car is 2 laps down.
Had a problem while leading, came in the pits, and there came a caution. Down 2 laps immediately for Mike Miller. He now trying to get 1 lap back from Gary St. Amand. St. Amand, a bit of a toss of the steering wheel off of turn number 4.
Miller trying to get one of those laps back. Don't count Mike Miller out yet. We saw Kevin Sawinski get 2 laps down at Kenley last year, Jim. Came back, won the championship and the race that day.
And Mike Eddy in the GM Goodwrench Pontiac showing a bit of sparks here, maybe just some bodywork scraping. He's made up 2 laps in 1 race as late as 1995 at Toledo Speedway. So if he can get his laps
something
back.
came off of his car. Piece of bodywork came off of Mike Eddy's car.
Fiberglass bodywork is not going to provide that much spark. Something is dragging on that race car.
We stay green. Even missing the front bodywork and everything and scraping on the racetrack, Mike Eddy's got a pretty fast race car.
Might be the right side frame rail. Now, when he got in the backside of another car, the right front wheel was exposed. He may have bent something to cause the car to actually sit lower on the racetrack, and it's hitting the racetrack as he makes it through the turns.
Well, a whole bunch of them push Jack Landis, the Adirondack Speedway Maisto, number 07, up off the groove. He starts falling back. Rains up to second. Knott runs in third now. Landis holds on to fourth until Holshausen comes by. It's Furley. That all changes that around.
I saw Kevin Noodleman go to the bottom of the racetrack as well in that orange and purple 21.
Yeah, he's up to 6, Jim.
He spun earlier, recovered, stayed on lead lap, and now he's well in the hunt.
And he's going for the Pat Chow Rookie of the Year award this year. In fact, right now, he's the highest running rookie in the race.
He raced in 3 or 4 shows last year, led some laps at Salem Speedway, which really does a lot for a rookie to lead some laps. Tim Taylor led 5 laps last year. Now he's coming into this season hoping to run a full-time rookie run.
Joe Knott at black number 1, listed in third, said he's really not trying to get the team acclimated to him. He's trying to get more accustomed to the team. They're going to run most of the setups that they used with Kevin Sawinski last year, and Joe's just trying to get used to those setups, not trying to get them to change the team to him. That's an unusual way of approaching it. Here's Adam Petty, who we're told just brushed the wall. Just coming back down the road.
If you're wondering, Spree prepaid phone cards are an associate sponsor on Kyle Petty and Richard Petty's cars. Come on board with Leroy Troop, the owner. Dave Sensiba is his teammate.
Cosolino hit the wall apparently too, Jim. Let's take a look at this.
Look for a car without a front end, and there it is, coming at you. Wow, that was close.
That's our speed shot, start-finish line. And a problem in turn number 4, 3 cars. Billy Turner again. And Oshalewski involved in this one again.
Greg Stewart was
32,
involved.
Greg Stewart.
Billy Turner might have skied it off of the 32 car. Turner wanted to get away from this incident. The front bodywork was torn away from another accident earlier. But his steering got knocked out. We could tell by the black marks along the wall. That's where the tire kept knocking it. That was from earlier in the evening. Brad Olhilski in the pit.
Leaders down pit road. There's Raines, Noodleman, and Knott going to work. Rains and Noodleman taking lefts. Knott takes on rights, and he's going to get out first. Look at that. Great pit work on Joe Knott's part. The LeFevre Racing team giving Joe Knott a great stop. Sperling gets out. Holzhausen, Seneker, all completing stops.
We mentioned how much the rookies have been struggling this evening. Jimmy Johnson's hit the wall, white-walled some tires, stayed on lead lap. With as much problems as the other rookies have had, Adam Petty, Jeff Fultz, Danny Doler, Jimmy Johnson is now leading the race in the Herzog Motorsports Chevrolet.
Mike Miller has worked his way back onto the lead lap, Jim. What does this mean now? That puts him at the tail of the lead lap. Mike Eddy is still 1 lap down. Mike Miller is listed in 11.
What that means is Mike Miller's a happy camper again. He made up both laps. He's worked to this point. Now he's got to stay ahead of Jimmy Johnson. Hope for caution, get to the tail.
Does it make Mike Miller a contender again, do you think?
Certainly does.
I think so, too.
No doubt about it. At this racetrack, again, he shakes his equipment down here. He has his one-of-a-kind setup under that car, unlike anyone else. No one can even make a team car for his car because they won't or don't think it'll work.
I think you're right. Gary St. Amant, that 7, you saw him go by. St. Amant in second place. With more on Gary, here is Dave Burns.
Ralph, I spoke with Bill McGowan, who is this year the crew chief for Gary St. Amant. Even though they lost Mike Sinetko and brought over Carl Hyland, this is the guy, McGowan, who is running the effort this year. And he said after giving Gary right sides and some quick left sides with that quick yellow we had just a few laps ago, that Gary is good to go the distance. Watch out for the 7 car.
89 laps to go in this one. The AC-Delco 300 presented by Jani-King. 1998 season opener for the American Speed Association.
We weren't seeing things there. Dave Sensible, who had that fire underneath the hood, the mysterious fire knocked him out as he was up in the top 5. He's now back on track, many laps down, but he's running with this pack.
24th, Jim, but points are so important. You got to get those points. This is a season opener. You can't let them go away.
Reflecting back on what coroner Bud Kevin had mentioned about Gary St. Amant's season last year, they finished 19th in the season opener. He said we had to struggle all through the year to get back to that point of being a contender.
Challenge for the lead, Jim. Here comes St. Amant to the inside. Johnson trying to hold on. Can't do it. Gary St. Amant, the new leader of the AC-Delco 300.
Jimmy Johnson in his 4th ASA race has struggled a bit in practice this weekend. Gary St. Amant, you can see him pulling away easily. I think has his place figured out. He now is putting the pressure on Mike Miller. Miller is ahead of him by a straightaway, but St. Amant, the race leader, will make it awfully difficult for Mike Miller to be a contender again.
The Wins onboard camera going onto the backside of Gary St. Amant's car. That's Jimmy Johnson growing smaller and smaller in the distance.
Jack Landis in the 07 on the inside, the Basedow diecast 07. He must love race season's beginning because last year at Kenly, North Carolina, Southern National Speedway, he led his only laps of the season. His 75 consecutive laps as the race leader, but all but 6 cars.
Oh, Mike Eddy gets into Jimmy Johnson. Yellow comes out, but Johnson straightens it out.
Mike Eddy may have drifted up the racetrack. The apron is extremely flat up to the 18-degree banking. That yellow line is quite a transition there.
Yeah, you need to run as low as you can around this racetrack, but dipping your wheels below that yellow line gets really tricky. Here's a look at it again. Mike's in that black 88, Johnson in the white 44. Think Jimmy just kept coming down?
Johnson did drift down the racetrack. Mike Eddy was up to the driver door, which is kind of the period where you say, okay, he's got position, stay high.
Jeff Fultz had a good look at it from his Jani-King camera.
Stay low.
You hear the spotter talking to him?
Good job, Jeff. Good job, buddy. Good job.
Jeff Richardson is his spotter, longtime crew member for Tom Jones, who's got a number of his crew members here helping out Alec Pinson on a career run.
They're doing a good job for Alec, too. And Jimmy trying to get some stock car victories on his resume here in 98. Well, the AC-Delco 300 continues in Jefferson, Georgia. Stay with us here on TNN. We're back to racing. Green flag slow getting up to speed. The 94 car with a flat rear. That's Bear.
Frank Bear running in the 14th position. We mentioned him, Indianapolis driver, making his ASA debut tonight.
Well, you know, we've had so many incidents, Jim. There's so many pieces of fiberglass sitting on that racetrack. It's not surprising to me the guy would cut a tire down.
And there have been 14 drivers of the 29 starters that attended the rookie meeting. They haven't raced with ASA before at this racetrack, or they're new to the series in period. So
Almost half the field.
a lot of drivers making their initial start here at Peach State Speedway.
But it's the veterans out front tonight. Gary St. Amant, we talked about at the beginning of the show.
These two drivers, Mike Miller, Tony Raines, were on lead lap. They are on lead lap. They made a pit stop.
They're coming, Jim.
They certainly are.
They right now are sitting 6th and 7th. Miller in front of Raines. Good look at the bumper camera from Brandon Sperling. Look at Raines right up alongside of Miller. Whoa, what a great shot. How's that for some good short track stunt car racing?
There are 7 cars now separating Gary St. Amant from Mike Miller at Lumar Window Films Pontiac.
Scott Hansen, that 52 car, he was the guy that started on the pole tonight. Hansen runs in 17th. Sperling credited with 7th right now.
Mike Miller 2.8 seconds back of race leader Gary St. Amant. There's Miller, Marietta, Georgia, his hometown. Transplanted from the Wisconsin Dells area. Wisconsin Rapids. He also spent some time in Minnesota, so his heart and foundation is in the Midwest. When he moved out here in 1983, I believe, pursued a business career and couldn't stay away from racing and came back to ASA.
Tony Raines trying to follow Mike Miller to the front as they work Mike Garvey. Garvey listed in 15th. That white number 8. Raines gets blocked a little bit, dives to the inside, gets around him.
Now, Steve Holtzhausen pitted with these guys, but he changed rear tires. That does not seem to be as effective as what Tony Raines or Mike Miller did.
That's a trick that these guys try a lot, too. Sometimes changing rears is better than changing rights or lefts.
Holtzhausen listed in the 8th position, but has not been able to stay with the pace that Mike Miller and Tony Raines have set as they charge through the field. Dave sends him many laps down right behind that white and black number 6.
Holtzhausen really had a dismal 97.
Certainly did. He came into 96 kind of as the cheater, the guy that kind of put other teams on their edge because he came in and did so well. He finished 2nd in the first race of a partial season and won a race the 2nd time on at Berlin Raceway, stealing that victory away in dominant fashion from the Michigan drivers that have had a stranglehold at that racetrack when it comes to victories.
Look at Miller and Raines flying through the field. They're up. This is a fight for 3rd now. Miller to the outside of Landis like he's not even there.
That's the difference of tires. That's the difference of experience. Working the outside. Raines has been using the outside all afternoon. Tony said he was at a disadvantage because he did not race here last year. American Speed Association has raced here only twice at Peach State Speedway, the first of which was April of 1985. Then they returned to the speed plant 1 year ago. But Raines has caught on quickly.
You know, last year, as Bob Seneker goes around in car number 84, he's listed in 5th. Last year, in the later stages of this race, it was a day race, so it was different. But the group moved way up. I mean, all the way to the wall. In fact, at one point, we were 4 wide in turns 1 and 2.
And they did that for almost an entire lap. 3 and 4 wide racing to jockey down, and there was room and a place to race way up top.
You think we'll see that tonight?
Jack Landis is trying to work in the middle groove. Tony Raines has worked the second and a half groove, only to pass cars and move back in line. It's a lot cooler today for this race than it was 1 year ago. I think we may get 2 grooves up. We won't get to the top as we're closing in on the finish. St. Amant would be the first driver to fly high if we had to.
Turn 2, yellow once again. Jimmy Johnson around. Gets it going.
I had asked Bob Seneker what he would do if there was 50 or so laps to go in the race. I had asked Mike Miller what he would do. Would he throw tires at the car? Mike Miller's tire specialist, Jim Duffy, said, we're going to throw tires at the car if we have to every chance we get. To see if they'll stay out.
Yeah, what I got from a lot of guys was we'll do what everybody else does. If the leaders come in, we'll come in. They didn't want to give up track position. Jimmy Johnson gets the 44 turned around, the Herzog Motorsports entry. 50-some-odd laps to go. Stay with us. There she is, Lisa Dickinson, Miss Win, signing autographs for all the folks in the grandstands here today. Along with Lisa, I'm Ralph Shaheen with Jim Trado, Dave Burns as our season opening coverage of the AC-Delco Challenge Series continues here on TNN Motorsports. Hey, every Saturday from 4 to 6, TNN will be bringing you ASA racing this season. Make sure you stay tuned and catch us every week. Gary St. Amant will be a player each and every week here on TNN. He's leading tonight.
He had an awesome jump. He's got a half-second lead already, but look at that.
He's got to go. I mean, here Miller and Raines are coming like a freight train. On the inside of Knott. Now, how rough will Joey Knott be here?
At this point, Knott might be in the hanging on mode. He knows those drivers are coming, not giving them a lot of room, making them work for it.
I'm telling you, Mike Miller is going to be on Gary St. Amant within 10 laps.
Don't count on this green number 2 of Tony Raines trying to get third away from Knott. He is as quick as Miller in the red and white 18.
Okay, here's one. I'm telling you, 10 laps. You watch. Miller is flying.
This scenario played out at least 6 times 1 year ago. Tire strategy, track position.
Raines having a little more trouble getting around Knott. There's one. Look at this, Trado. I'm telling you, 10 laps. Maybe 5.
It was a 0.6 second lead. Now it's down to a little under 5 and make that 4 car lengths.
We got an onboard camera with St. Amant. Watch the bumper here grow. There's 2 laps. Watch Miller just get bigger and bigger in the frame. Look at that. I said 10. I should have said 5.
Mike Miller's carrying a lot more speed into the corners than he did in qualifying or at any point in the race to this point. He's got the left front right below that yellow line. Gary's unable to hold the car that low. He's making up all his time in the corners.
That's 3 laps. It's 4 laps, and he is on him, Jim. He's going to go whistling. Oh, boy. Did you see the dancing in the front nose of that car, though? Did you see the 18 dart around a little bit?
Gary is unable to hold the bottom. Mike Miller has a little bit of damage there on the right front. Not afraid to use it, as it's very obvious here.
Look at this. Mike Miller. The Lumar 18 to the inside of Gary St. Amant for the lead. He's got it.
Closing into the finish here, 1 year ago, Mike Miller led the points. At one point in the season, he won the season opener. Had problems after that.
While that pass for the lead was happening, there's a great fight for third going on. Let's take you back and show you that. Not going to miss anything here on TNN's coverage of ASA. Tony Raines to the inside of Joe Knott.
Took Tony Raines about 6 laps to set up this pass as he worked to find where Joe Knott had a weakness. It just so happened Tony Raines mashed the gas and turned left off for turn number 2. He's now in third, but his time may be running out as Mike Miller is streaking away.
Almost 270 laps completed. It's Miller, St. Amant, Raines, Knott, Seneca, your top 5. Holzhausen, Landis, Jimmy Johnson, the highest running rookie right now. He's 8th. Sperling is 9th, and Alec Pinsino still having a great night. He's in 10th. I think all that credit goes to Tim Sauter and Tom Jones. Here's your fight for 7th. Landis and Johnson going at it.
Talk about tenacity in a rookie driver. Jimmy Johnson could have parked it. He spun a couple of times, perhaps on his own. He'll be the first to admit it when he's wrong. But look at how he's fighting back tonight.
How much is that? Is Howie Leto, do you think, helping to keep his driver under control? The crew chief, who's won the Pat Shaw Rookie of the Year, as a crew chief, what, 4 or 5 times?
5 times, won the championship with Tony Raines for the series title.
Brandon Sperling giving us these shots. That's Jimmy Johnson in front of him.
Brandon's having a good night in 9th, led for a little bit. Driver now based out of Mooresville, North Carolina, giving us those shots.
Look at Johnson to the bottom. Oh! Around he went again.
It's called learning how to do a nudge and go. He was not quite by Jack Landis to the inside.
And we're yellow.
He won't go to the rear of the pack like you might see in a short track race. Wherever he blends in on this caution is where we'll find Jimmy Johnson on the restart. So he may have lost a couple of positions to cars on the track, but he is one of the 11 cars on lead lap, now sitting in 11th in the 44. Now, Mike Miller, Gary St. Amant, Tony Raines. Raines with old tires. On this restart, Raines is going to have to get by Gary immediately. Or that Wynn Chevrolet is going to get awfully wide to hold him off for those final few laps.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it's going to be really tough to catch Mike Miller.
Joe Knott looks like he's taking on tires. Quite a gamble with Mike Chappie and the crew.
You know, we'll see if Mike Chappie's call will help Joe Knott or giving up track position. Will it hurt him? We'll be back in Jefferson, Georgia right after these words. Stay with us here on TNN. Getting set to go back to green with the AC-Delco 300 presented by Jani-King. Scheduled for 300 laps tonight. 276 completed.
25 laps, Saturday night feature here at Peach State Speedway.
Dave Burns, how's Mike Miller shaping up?
They think it's pretty good to go, guys. He's a little bit tight, but the best thing going for Mike Miller is that coming up off the corners, the car is extremely good. And there are 750-foot straightaways here. That's very important. Unfortunately for Tony Raines, even though the car is working real well, I talked to his crew chief, Toby Muleman. Toby said he's a little bit loose coming off of the corner, so that may be the downfall for Raines. We may watch Mike Miller at his home track use the apron to steer this car through the turns. If it's good coming off, trouble going in, that's where he's made up ground going in the corner. So if it's better off now, you see his left side tires go below the yellow line in the turns. He's using this racetrack to his advantage in helping steer the car.
We saw Mike do that a couple of years ago in Colorado, in Denver. Mike did that on that tight half mile, and it made a big difference in the handling of his race car, and he went right to the front.
He's staying above the yellow line, which tells you another thing. He doesn't have to use the racetrack to turn. This car is very good.
Battle for fifth between Steve Olson's number 5 and Jack Landis in the 07, the Adirondack Maisto 07.
Steve Holtzhausen trying to rebound from, admittedly, a very dismal season. This team, the black number 5, Carl Don and Marilyn Benetti, had Brian Refner behind the wheel in 1995. They edged out Mike Eddy for the season championship. Since then, the team has been trying to regroup, and Holtzhausen has spent many months full-time in the shop in Franklin, Wisconsin, which is a suburb of Milwaukee, 3 hours south of his home in Bangor, Wisconsin. So he spent a lot of time doing Spangler and the guys, a couple of other full-time guys, making a serious effort here tonight.
We got one around on the front straightaway. Past the 55 of Ed O'Hilsky.
Now, again, drama.
You're into building drama.
Oh, I like this stuff. You gotta love it. Mike Miller has
drag racing voice.
I don't think there's enough Coca-Cola up here to keep my voice going if I did that for too long.
Yeah, but you're right. Mike's going to have to do it again.
Now, if Mike Miller wins this thing, we can honestly say he went on to win the season championship in those years. Mike Miller would be the 3rd driver to win 2 season openers if he can do it back-to-back in '98.
Great start for Mike Miller. St. Amant got left of the gate on that one. St. Amant's starting to close back in. Look at that.
Certainly has a fresh breath of life.
Oh, we got one along the wall in the front straightaway. Mike Garvey. Big problems in the 8 car.
Looks like the Panhard bar is something along that line. The car is off tracking by about a foot. He's really struggled here tonight. The Wisconsin Aviation team very high on this racetrack. Mike Garvey has a lot of laps in all kinds of cars here.
21 cautions, Jim. I don't think we've ever seen more than 21 cautions in an ASA race. 22, I think, is the most we've ever had, but 21 is about the most I ever remember. Here's the Jani-King car, Jeff Full.
Mike Garvey.
Man.
It must have broke coming off of turn 4.
What a hard lick he took. So while they come to get Mike Garvey off the racetrack, we'll take a quick break, do some business. T&M Motorsports continuing from Peach State Speedway. Don't miss the finish of this one. It'll be good. Again, this season, you have the opportunity to win a unit Bearcat scanner along with a 1-year Racers Frequency membership from Racing Electronics. Just send your name and address on a postcard to Racing Electronics, P.O. Box 241921, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28224. We'll announce the winner during each ASA telecast on TNN throughout the year, so send in your card today. We're back to Peach State Speedway looking to wrap this one up, the season opener for the AC-Delco Challenge Series as the American Speed Association kicks off its 30th anniversary. 30 years they've been going after this.
Celebrating the 30th anniversary of American Speed Association. Short track racing started in Indiana. Now it's up to 18 tracks in 13 states.
8 laps to go. Scheduled for 300, the AC-Delco 300, presented by Jani-King, winding down. There's Bob Seneker. He's got Steve Holzhausen on him. That's a fight for 4. Mike Miller, that red number 18, your leader. Gary Cinnamon runs in second. Raines is third. There's your top 3.
The top 10 cars are the first 10 on this racetrack, so there's no lap cars to interfere from their position battle. So racing throughout the front stretch here at Peach State.
And boy, is that helping Mike Miller. Problems on the back straightaway. Jeff Bolts loses a tire. Do we stay green? No. The yellow comes out. The tire was loose and rolling. There it is up along the wall. Everybody hard on the brakes in the lead pack. They look for this tire to go down to the inside.
May come back on the racetrack. They better get on the gas.
Tire trying to lead a lap here.
The spotters did an awesome job telling their drivers to slow down. They saw the sparks, but they might not have seen the tire. Unfortunately, the scoring monitor is not inside the wheel for Jeff Bolts to get credit for that lap.
The Bolts and the Jani-King car having a tough night. 22 yellows.
You want to go along for a ride? Here it is. 18-degree banking.
Oh, right there with Alex.
All right, be careful, be careful. 88 on the outside, outside. A couple more cars out there. Just hang out on the bottom. I'll let you know when you're clear.
Right front flat, guys. Right front flat.
40's out there. Hang out there if you can.
Right front flat.
Hey, you got 8 laps to go. The flat right in front of you. Coming to you. We got to put one on. It's gone.
No, he lost the wheel. He doesn't have a wheel no more.
That tells me he figured that out.
That could have been a lot worse.
You still may be able to pound one on.
Off of the corner.
Yeah, that's
just when you get on the gas pedal, you only have a flat tire. If he was going in the corner and it left without a warning, that'd have been some serious problems. Now check this out. Butch Miller and Mark Martin are the only drivers in 30 years of racing in ASA to win more than one ASA season opener. Now the years also corresponded with championships for both drivers. They won the championship the years they won the season openers. A good omen for Mike Miller.
We are back to green. The one thing you will see in ASA competition, this race will finish under green. The last 5 laps in an ASA race have got to be completed under green. No racing to a checkered flag under yellow here. Jack Landis and Holzhausen getting together. And Joe Knott looking for a place to stick his nose in. That's a fight for 5th going on. Not to the inside of Holzhausen as Landis has slid through. Mike Miller, Gary Cinnamon, Tony Raines, Bob Seneker, Jack Landis, your top 5. Then it's Knott and Holzhausen after that. Jimmy Johnson still running at 8. Brandon Sperling at 9th, Noodleman at 10th. Pinsino and Eddie round out the top 12.
Mike Miller received the white flag.
1 lap to go for Mike Miller. He won the season opener in 1997. Can he hold on for a victory here in front of his hometown crowd? His
his wife and family in the grandstands. Mike Miller makes his way to the checkered flag of the AC-Delco 300 to win the season opener.
Joe Knott will get the 5th position over Jack Landis. Pitched him down in turn 2 and turn 4 and got the advantage at the stripe for Joe Knott.
Lou Marr signed on with Mike Miller for 2 races. Everything after that is based on performance. I think Mike Miller's going to have a sponsor for a couple extra races this year.
Talk about racing for the paycheck. It's a performance-based sponsorship now where they're actually paying more for better positions finishing. Hopefully there's a big bonus for him to win this deal. It'd be great for Mike.
Stay with us. We're coming back to Peach State Speedway in Jefferson, Georgia to talk to the winner of the AC-Delco 300 presented by Jani-King, Mike Miller, right after these words. Well, we had 22 cautions here tonight at the AC-Delco 300, and that could be one of the reasons why. Full moon over the Peach State Speedway. Well, Mike Miller has done it, coming back from 2 laps down to win the season opener. He's standing by with Dave Burns in victory lane.
All right, we've got Mike Miller, and he's getting a big hug from new crew chief Rich Thompson. A big victory for both of them. And Mike, the way it started out, I can't believe you're in victory lane. Can you?
No, we had a pretty good car, I'll tell you that. And we had, when we took the engine out this afternoon for a drivetrain anomaly, and one of the fittings on the carburetor was loose, and we were we were blessed with luck tonight like nobody's business. We had a fitting loose, and it could have just as easy started a fire. And I had told the guys a couple times that we were, I could smell gas in the car, and while leading the race, the damn thing ran out of gas in 100 laps. I mean, they're just crazy. And we got down a couple laps, and then we were really lucky to get the cautions. They fell right. Hey, I want to thank Lumar Window Films for putting up with us tonight.
Yeah.
And I hope this goes a little ways in keeping the Lumar people with us.
Somehow I didn't think Miller was going to forget his brand new sponsor, guys.
Somehow or another. Oh, and that Wagner motor is just awesome.
There's more. There's always more. Good job, Mike.